Hey, what's up, everybody? Today we're going to be going over the song Gee, It Sucks to Be Blue. I got my FL Studio project open up for it, so we'll dive in. This one is a little long and complicated, so the opening of the song here basically is just a reflection of this turnaround that happens before the chorus structure starts up. So there's the first four measures of it. Basically, all that I did was take the bridge section there and then just bring it out and expand it to a whole measure instead of the half measures that it occupies. We'll take a listen to a quick section of that. I'm not going to vent to you, you wouldn't have the proper view. And the way that this section is written and works is it's basically just playing fourths of each chord. So you're going from a G to a C, and then the C goes to a F, and then the F goes to a sharp or a B flat chord there. So it's basically just going circle fourth style before resolving back to a G minor there. But going back to the front, much like all the rest of the songs on Solely Turned, we got the two guitar parts, the rhythm being the ES335 clone, and then the lead guitar being a Stratocaster. And during the first part of the song, it's basically just playing the exact same part, just these whole measure, these whole note chords. So the ES335 still has that bridge rolled back, and it's probably being played in the center position with the Stratocaster being played probably in the neck position. Much like the rest of the songs, both of these are just being played through an Iridium for the amp modeling. Once we get to the verse structure, we end up with this chord progression, which you can see on my backing track song as well, where we have this G minor 7. This is an A diminished chord. This is the C minor 7. And then it ends with this D on piano, but realistically it's being voiced on guitar like a D diminished chord as well. I recognize that I have been. Like a lot of the other songs on the album, this song has a vocal track in which it has two separate vocal parts. So you have the main vocal, which is up top, and then our backup vocal on the bottom, which is realistically just a doubling of this vocal track. The structure of these verses are pretty simple. We basically just do that main progression multiple times, with the piano just acting as a pad, and then you also have the trombone viola acting as a pad with this slight walking bass line above it. The guitars are playing. Oops. The guitars in this case are following those chords as well, just with slightly different rhythms. With the ES335 being played fingerstyle, and then the Strat being played with a pick. With really the only variation of this being right about here during that second iteration of the verse structure. The other thing that happens during the verse structure is we get these little viola stings towards the end of the verse. So that's the first case of it, and then you have this second case before we get into this bridge into the chorus. I can't remember exactly what scale or what logic I used to write these. This song was originally written in like 2015, so I basically just used the sheet music I had and transposed it into FL Studio. So don't really know what the logic behind some of this was, but I think the point of it was just to have kind of a dissonant sting towards the end of each of these lines. And you can also see the vibraphone goes from this kind of arpeggio style, which is also ultimately the last bit of the song too, but we'll get to that later. Before it hits these, probably just chords, it looks like. It looks like in this case it's doing thirds for the most part. The root plus the third of the chord. And then we get into that bridge, which once again is a reflection of the intro to the song here. I'm not going to vent to you. You wouldn't have the proper view. No need to tell you what it is. And similarly, the guitars are basically doing, I'm pretty sure in this case, they're pretty much playing the exact same part. Just a little tonally different, that's all. It's all about being tough. And then we have that little viola sting during the very last variation of this. Being tough. I ain't feel too good now, kids. You can see I labeled these Jimmy turnaround because the chord that's being used in this is that Jimi Hendrix chord for this last little bit of the sting. So basically we're just following this G minor, and then we hit this Jimi Hendrix chord for this D shape towards the end. Sucks to be blue. It ain't nothing new now, gee. It sucks to be blue. I'm feeling a little lost now, gee. It sucks to be blue. And we also have two kind of separate melody. There's a lot going on here. It's layered probably a bit too much because you have the vocals going on. You have the quote-unquote kind of Jimi Hendrix part, which is, I believe, what the lead guitar plays. The rhythm guitar doesn't do it. It just follows the chords. Whereas if you listen to the lead guitar part, you get that kind of little riff in there. And there's a couple instruments that do that part as well. With the viola and trombone being the only part that don't follow that structure quite. It sucks to be blue, but it is what it is. And then we enter the first guitar solo of this song, the Lydian solo. As talked about during my favorite moments video for Solely Termed, this was originally going to be for a bass guitar. What I ended up doing on this was using pitch shifting for our lead guitar to add this octave down effect to it. And then on top of this, which you can see with this mix level here, along with this reverb here, I added a couple of extra effects during this solo. So I'm going to pull up the mixer for this. We won't stay here too long. What you'll see is with the lead guitar, it has this slight motion, and that's basically just the fruity piano doing its thing, just doing a slight left to right motion on the track. And then that additional reverb track, which is in there, where's that? I just put on the reverb bus, but it's this Air Windows consolidated reverb I added on, which just adds some extra space to it. So take a listen to the whole thing really quick. The other thing you'll also hear is in the rhythm section, once again, a little bit of vibrato on top of that, and that was just done via an effects pedal. I think it was my Behringer UV300 for this one. And then we get back into the normal verse structure again here, with not a lot of changes. We'll go ahead and fast forward a little bit to the end of the second chorus here. I haven't really tried talking it out. This chord is that A diminished chord before getting to the solo, which is a TS-10 in this case, or more so the JHS Bonsai on its TS-10 setting, because I don't have that money. But everything else during the solo stays pretty standard, the normal verse structure. And then we get this little melody line section here, which initially was just written for these. And as you can see, I had a little trouble recording this, so I did each of the sections on the guitar as its own separate take. And the rhythm guitar is basically just following what it was doing earlier during the verses, since it is just the verse structure again. During here, we're hitting that melody riff again, which is kind of hinted at during the verse structures of the song with the vibraphone, as you can see here, as well as what I just pointed out there as well. Down here as well, you're basically getting the exact same thing here, but everything's just supporting it, so it comes out a little bit better, or just a little bit more predominant in this case. And then the vocals also follow it here. In this case, the vocals, there's one set, which I believe are the lead, which is... Oh, I ain't doing too well now, gee, it sucks to be this blue, yeah. Oh. So the backup does this like octave down, whereas the main vocals tries to follow basically this main melody line the best it can. You get 2 repeats of that. Before we do this little half step rise up into this G sharp structure, but same exact thing, just a half step up for the melody as well as the chord progression. As you can see right here, half step rise. And then the song just ends on that now G sharp minor before ending out. That was a little behind the scenes of the song Gee, It Sucks to Be Blue. Check out the song on your favorite streaming platform or here on YouTube. Give this video a like and subscribe to keep up to date with all Ensemble Incident releases. After all, music can often be an incident.